Welcome to Backstage with Geoffrey Morrissey. We are here at the Sinclair, one of my favorite venues, and with one of my new favorite artists, Phoebe Bridgers. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today, and how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
And this is your first Boston show. That must be so exciting.
Yeah, it's super exciting. I have a lot of friends who go to Berklee, so it's weird that I haven't been here yet.
And do you have, like, a lot of the famous musicians have come out of Berklee, or maybe even better, dropped out of Berklee?
Yeah.
Do you happen to have a favorite, like, Boston or Berklee-based artist?
Well, Brad Whitford from Aerosmith is one of my friend's dads, and that's one of the most infamous stories to me because he dropped out, like, within 6 months and then joined that band.
Wow.
So that's, like, that's a crazy one, and that was forever ago, so I feel like he set the precedent a little bit, which is cool.
That's really cool. The Aerosmith guys, they're south of Boston, which is where our station is based. They're like the hometown celebrities.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
We have two Stevens in Marshfield, Steven Tyler and Steve Carell. So it's a really great town to
That's great.
to be in. So you released the Killer EP, which is excellent. One of my favorite releases to come out in the past couple months. And I heard that you were working on a full length at some point. How is that coming along?
It's coming along great. This tour is kind of in the middle of me working on that, and I wouldn't have taken the tour if I wasn't so excited about this tour because I'm working on an album. But as soon as I get back, I'm going to work more on that.
Awesome. And now, is there like a pressure that like is surrounding that because the EP was so well received? Are you feeling a little bit of pressure? I hope not, but
I mean, I think most of the pressure is from myself. Like, I really want to put out new music because it's not very new to me. Like, I feel like most of the songs I've had for like a year, and the 7-inch was 3 songs, and so I didn't really get to put out, I barely got to put out anything, so it's going to be cool to like have something full out, but no pressure from anybody else, only me.
Good. That's the way that we like to hear it. So you've sort of, I don't want to say like catapulted, but like the rise to fame was relatively quick, at least in the public eye, if that makes sense.
For sure.
What has been sort of like the biggest shock to you? Because I think everyone has like the sex, drugs, rock and roll cliche, and then you get there and it's not that glamorous. It was like the biggest oh crap moment.
You know, I think my oh crap moment was a lot different than a lot of people's, because I thought I know so many musicians, and almost all of them I know who've been touring for a long time hate touring, and I like have just loved it. And I'm like a little bit of a princess. Like, I like my same food every day. I like 10 hours of sleep at like the least. And so it's been surprisingly easy, and that was kind of a great thing to discover, that like I'm totally cool traveling.
That's awesome. How many hours are you averaging right now? Like hours of sleep?
Probably like 9, which is really solid.
That is really solid. That's more than like most students. So
exactly.
You got to take it.
Yeah.
So one of the ways that a lot of people sort of first got an introduction to you without maybe knowing it was the commercial with Apple.
Oh yeah.
How did that opportunity come about?
You know, I think I had known a casting director. I'm not sure, but from when I was a little kid. I'm not sure exactly how we connected, but I was a little kid and I knew this casting director. And he and I were friends on Facebook, and he basically, I hadn't talked to him in like 10 years. And then I was like, 19, and I was playing a show with my punk band Sloppy Jane that night that he hit me up and said, "Hey, are you in a girl band?" And I was like, kind of, yeah. And then like 2 days later we were shooting the commercial, so. Yeah. And
great song choice too. Pixies,
oh yeah, I know. Band. I think that's so awesome. And everybody was like, "Doesn't she know that song's like about a dick?" And I was like, "That's so much cooler to me that it's about a dick." Like, Apple totally knows.
And it's great. It's just like one of those things that if you're into like the punk rock thing, it gives you a chuckle, but
right.
Dog whistle, kind of like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So when did you? I know that you've been like doing a lot with instruments. When did you start writing? Writing music, because the writing is awesome.
I think I wrote my first song when I was like 10, and it was called "The Only Bird Flying the Other Way." Great song. I should really play that more.
It's gonna be on the full length.
Yeah, it's gonna be on the full. It's gonna be a single. Yeah. But yeah, I like always kind of romanticized writers, and like I was really into classic rock and stuff. So I loved Tom Waits, and like, not that Tom Waits is classic rock, but like Neil Young style, like, and I just liked that thing, like the songwriter thing. And so I've been writing forever, but I think when I started to really take it seriously, I was probably like 15 or 16.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And then, so this is one of my favorite questions to ask because I don't get to ask it too often. We're both fairly young, working in the music industry. One of us is a little more successful. No one's paying $15 to come and see me on a Sunday night. In fact, yeah, that's just not happening. But what is the sort of the toughest part of being young and being like around all of this?
You know, I think getting talked down to has been hard. Like even if it's just subtle or like, you know, I don't know. I've had a really good experience on this tour, so it feels weird even talking about this. But like occasionally a sound guy will be like, you know, like that guitar isn't actually like, you know, supposed to go through that amp or whatever, and you feel like you don't know what you're talking about, even though you do. I don't know. I think getting talked down to is like one of my least favorite things on the planet, but I've been experiencing it less and less, which is, I think, just the more conviction that I have, like, behind the things I think, the less that happens. So
no, that's definitely good. I mean, and it's definitely something within the rock world, because no one looks at One Direction and goes, hey, do you know that those guys are 19? It's like, yeah, well, no crap.
Exactly.
But it's so it kind of made it a little bit harder to, like, as much as I hate this phrase, like, gain legitimacy, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, that stinks, but I think you're going to overcome it.
Yeah, yeah.
Something tells me. But what has been sort of like the most surreal moment for you, like kind of where you took like, I can't believe I'm doing this right now?
You know, the Julian thing was the Julian tour has been really surreal. I think a new one comes up like every month or so, but also Laura Jane Grace from Against Me tweeted me the other day and was like, I love your album. And I was like, what? And that
awesome.
was like occasionally it's just these little landmark things and I'm like, how is this my life? So all of them are kind of like relative to the time, and that's my one right now, is the Laura Jane Grace.
No, that's great. That's great. And this tour too, I mean, Sprained Ankle, I mean, that is such a great album.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so excited to hear it. I'm so excited to hear the EP too. But it seemed like a match made in heaven when I first saw the...
Totally. Like everybody in my life was like, hey, have you heard Julian Baker? And then she like completely independently, I guess, had heard of me. And so it kind of is like this crazy worlds colliding thing, which is really cool.
Awesome. And then so what would you sort of, you've had a little while to go on tour to play some of the songs, and as you're sort of learning, what do you think your biggest weakness might be? And I always like to preface this where it's not something where I have an answer that I'm going to share with you after, because I don't. I'm tone deaf to some extent. But like what would you say like that is something that you're trying to work on right now?
I think like as far as putting on a show, sometimes I try not to think too hard about what I'm going to do, because I get like really in my head, and that's not good. But I think I need to find the middle ground between like not thinking about my set and thinking about my set, because sometimes I'll just go up there and be like, wait, you know, like I shouldn't be playing this right after this song or something. Like just organizing my set and my immune system. I got really sick in Toronto. Basically because I just wasn't taking care of myself. I was like just got a really bad cough, and I need to find a way to fix that, because if I'm going to keep touring, that sucks.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes it's just more practical, like stuff like that. This is always one of my favorite questions. If you could take a song from anyone and it's released as a Phoebe Bridgers song, the world only knows it as that, what do you think that song might be?
Damn.
It could be a couple too, because I hate when people say only one.
Okay. Tokyo Girl by Val McCallum. And man, there are so many. Basically any song on Real Gone by Tom Waits. Or Easy Way Out by Elliott Smith.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is all good choices.
Yeah.
And then who are you listening to right now? Who has your ear?
Who has my ear right now? What is it? It's Dear Nora. It's really cool. It's like this collection of demos that someone did, and I don't know like anything about her. I literally just started listening to it, and it's amazing.
Great.
Yeah.
I always love demos. That's always awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Well, I don't want to keep you. You have a sold-out house that is waiting to hear your music, and I will be among the crowd. Thank you so much, and have a great set.
Thank you.